plans. West Africa Gas Pipeline started under the NDC administration, continued under the MPP administration. And it fell on me, as chairman of the Council of Ministers at that time, to push the project along. So we traveled to Washington, to Nigeria, looking for money so that the project could get started. So under my watch, it got started. And under my watch, we started the construction. It's up to someone else to make sure that the gas shows up. And in the matter of the oil and gas, sometimes you sit there as a minister, you must make your own decisions. So one day, I flew to Equatorial Guinea and sat there for 3 days to wait for the president to see me so that we can learn from the experience and so that we could also try and do some deals with them. Interestingly enough, the president finally saw me. And everybody who said, oh, this man will see you for 2 minutes. And he saw me for 2 hours. And do you know what we talked about for an hour and a half? It was Kwame Nkrumah. It was Kwame Nkrumah. Because he said if Kwame Nkrumah was alive, your country will be ahead of us several times. But I'm bringing back to just let you know that the energy solutions are still there. They are just waiting for implementation because some people are just uncomfortable with saying, let's do it. Let's do it. And I'm telling you, when I had the opportunity, I did it. But I want the whole responsibility to just say, do it. Do it. So the lights won't go on and off, go on off, on and off. Because it can happen. It's just with implementation. And it needs a certain kind of leadership to make it happen.
Thank you, Dr. NDUOM. I'll take a question from the right, from the left.
Thank you very much. And my name is Elizabeth Apalu. I'm here in several capacities. I'm representing the women's movement, NetRight, which I know Dr. KWESI knows about when he was he's laughing. My question to him is, he said he will make food sustainability a priority and also make sure that food production becomes one of the key areas that he focuses on. We know very well that within the agri sector, which gives us high employment rate, almost 60%, and also 35% of GDP, but we have very, very poor inflow of credit to this sector, which is from available statistics, 6%. I want to know what his government will do to increase the inflow of credit, not just the Agri Development Bank, but other banks, to ensure that money goes into this sector, because it's not just farming, it's about livestock, it's about fishing, it's about infrastructure services and all the ancillary services that are needed to make us grow enough food to feed our country. Because without food production, I don't think we can make any industry work. So I want to know from him. Thank you.
The matter of food, I want to again state very clearly that here you will see change between what has happened before, that we've experienced since 1992, and what will happen from 2009. Because we want to be very, very clear, very, very direct, that all countries that have been doing well, the governments have supported agriculture. They have supported food production, preservation, and also processing. And that is how come we want to ensure that financing for food production in particular is something government will support. Government will support. But also, government will support. You go to the Midwest of America, and you see the silos and all sorts of things standing there. And you find that indeed, government purchases the harvests and stores. So sometimes when we need food and they send us food, it is from government stocks, and it's from government buying from the farmer and giving the farmer a market. We're not doing it. We started in the 1960s and then we stopped because of the 1966 coup. Some people think that, oh, those are the socialist things. My brother and my sister, those are not socialist things. They are human things that caring governments do for their people because they know food is important. They know good nutritional content is important. So we don't make apologies. We say the state, your government, will intervene on behalf of those who produce the food that we need to eat. And so today, we import rice, we import maize, we import tomatoes, we import chicken, we import beef, virtually everything we eat. That is not healthy for us. We want to reverse it. We want to reverse it. The only way you reverse it, if a country puts on its high priority agenda that it will do for its people what others do for their people. And that is how come I always say that, look, you go around Mankasim and they grow pineapple. But can your pineapple walk to America? Oh no, because they say there are some phytosanitary requirements you must meet. Can beef walk from America to Japan just like that? Oh no. They have some requirements they must meet. And when they get there, 1 pound of meat made in Japan may cost you $1, but the one from America may cost you $25. That is why I'm saying to you that KWESI becomes your president. That we will also find, I don't know what they may be, but we will find the equivalent of phytosanitary requirements to make sure that our farmers have a market in this country so we can produce more, so we can have money in our pocket. That is what this thing is all about.
Thank you, Dr. Ndu. The National Union of Ghana Students is represented here by Abdul Karim Hakim, and they have a question for you, Dr. Ndu.
Abdul Karim Hakim from National Union of Ghana Students. Mine will center on Get Fund, looking at how it's been applied. If you walk throughout the campuses of the tertiary institutions in Ghana, they are being faced with a lot of challenges. One is accreditation. And Dr. Ndu, during your presentation, you said education, modernized education. May I know what you will do when it comes to accommodation problems on campus, and then refilling the faculties so that students can have positive interaction with their lecturers, other than the kind of tuition that we get, whereby you go and sit in the classroom, your lecturer comes, speaks to you, and then goes. You go to the library, school books are not there for you to be able to even research and come out with a lot of things. So when you go out and apply to an industry to work, they tell you they need people who are experienced. Where do we get the experience? I want to know what you do differently from what you've been currently.
If I may tag on the back of that, Dr. Ndu, there's some of those classes that he's talking about that are larger than political rallies.
Can I have access to those classrooms?
No, he wants you to reduce that.
Yes, Abdul Karim, your question is a very valid one, a very important one. I think you heard me share my small experience in a high school classroom in America. Because it's just like being in fairyland. Or when you come from Elmina, Cape Coast, to enter a classroom where everything is there. And all you have to struggle for is to make use of what is there. And you have a teacher's attention. And so you can learn. And so I did learn a lot. So I empathize with the situation that you're talking about. And to know all that I can sit here and just say, I will do this. But I want to point you to the CPP's track record. After all, the others want to talk about their track record. But this is the one that is unbeatable. Because the CPP came to power with 13 schools, secondary schools, none beyond, Kumasi. And then, the Education Trust program came. And when the CPP was leaving, it went to 155. And so they started all of those schools, and believe you me, when the CPP was in power, ask them, all those other people who are saying all of those things, when they were in university, what experience did they have? Some of them had people even serving them tea. Okay? To ask them. That was the experience under the CPP. And so when I talk about quality education we want to bring back, we only have one model. It was a good one. And it's the same model we want to bring. And as I was asked the question, how do you finance it? I'll say financing is not the problem. Because there is money there. It is a matter of prioritization and also using the money for the things that are important, such as education. So we need to have more tertiary institutions. And so I want to put one in Birmingham. I want to put one, yes, we have some campuses in Upper East and Upper West, but they are not full universities. I want to make them that way. I want one in the Volta region. But then we must build them. Build them so that anyone who wants access can have one. But you know, you talk about teachers. Teachers, they are like everybody else. You don't treat them well, they will leave. Just like other people leave. And so we must make the teacher's life also something worth doing. So all of it are things that we can do now. When I say that, somebody can say, well, anybody else can come and sit here and say the same thing. It's a matter of track record. We've done it before, and we'll do it again.
Sure. Thank you, Dr. Indum. And the Ghana Employers Association is represented here by Mr. Alex Frimpong. He's got a question for you, Mr. Frimpong.
Honorable Dr. Indum, my name is Dr. Mohamed Jechijando. I'm a lecturer at the University of Ghana. I enjoyed your presentation, but I was really intrigued by your statement that you would promote economic growth with social equity.
I'm sorry, I think there's something wrong with that. Can you please repeat your...
Yes. Honorable Dr. Indum, you spoke about promoting economic growth with social equity. And you also spoke interestingly about reforming the state when you become president. You said that government must become more efficient in revenue collection. And I know that, you know, social equity, I believe, is a very important goal to have. I was wondering if you could speak a bit more about how you propose reducing the wide gap that we have in Ghana between the rich and the poor. And I know that part of this has to do with more efficient revenue collection. And so I would respectfully ask if you could talk a bit more about social equity as well as the revenue collection plan that you have. Thank you.
Good. Social equity, you know, is one of the underlying principles of the Convention People's Party, and indeed in the manifesto we will talk a lot more about it, but I just want to give you some practical examples. Because when broadly we talk about social equity, I extend it to many different areas. And I talk about the gap between the North and the South. And I say it very seriously, because development must be shared, and must be shared equitably throughout the country. When we talk about the elderly, the young, the poor, who should care for them? In the US, you might talk about welfare programs. But in Ghana, it's difficult to say there's a welfare program because we don't really know who is here. That is how come I fought hard to introduce the concept of the National Identification System, which we are waiting for its implementation. Because when it comes, then we will know who is here. We will know when you arrive on this earth. We will know how old you really are. We will make sure that if you deserve something, that you will get it. That if you're poor, and we design a program for the poor, that you will have it. So that if the state says, if you are at a certain level of poverty, and we must give you something, we know that we don't just go and select some people to give it to, based on political or whatever other grounds, that you get it because you are in that category, to get it. So for me, the equity part, that also refers to children and refers to women as well. Because if we're in a society where the majority are women, and we come up with financing programs for people, and you don't have a women's business enterprise development program, chances are that the men will run away with those kinds of programs. That is why even in those other developed economies, they have women's business enterprise programs where government provides low interest loans, provides them technical assistance, and guides them so that they can develop. So there are many dimensions to this. All I'm saying to you is that it's an important principle of the CPP. And so it is one that runs through many things that we want to do, because it's a national party that must look at everybody in this country. And I hope at an appropriate time we'll get the opportunity to talk some more about it, because this is an area where we are very comfortable discussing this area.
Thank you, Dr. Indo. And if Mr. Emmanuel Abanga from the Ghana Registered Nurses Association is here. Yes, sir.
Thank you. My name has been mentioned already. My question is, you get to our institutions, the nursing institutions, see that the applicants will be about 600, and then they will take only 150, and then the 150 will be picked, then the rest are sent off, even though they are qualified. And the reason is that the facility is small, the tutors are not there. I want to find out what your government will do if you come into power, so that they will enroll more of the nurses, so that we'll be able to get enough nurses to run our facilities, because we are really short of nurses in the country. And then again, I want to know what your government will do to stop the attrition of nurses. We train the nurses, but we don't get them. They leave the country for greener pastures somewhere. We want to know what your government will do if you are in power. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for the question. I think the matter of, I talked about the education, about the need to expand even the number of institutions. And I was even talking about having regional ones. But then we need to bring the ones, the areas that are needed in all of these various institutions. So what we're talking about is, again, another comprehensive development of tertiary institutions, but ones that will provide for the demand in the market. That's why I was also talking about the skilled areas, and then technology. Now we're talking about healthcare. But I also want to talk about this, my concept of vocational technical education. The ones that I'm used to, there's this institution, for example, called the Milwaukee Area Technical College. I had the fortune of actually attending for about 6 months. And it was amazing, because if you want to be a police officer, you can go there and get trained. You want to be a nursing assistant, you can go there and get trained. You want to be a journalist, you can go there and get trained. There's even something called funeral science. You can go get there and get trained. Because they provide for it.
We can teach that. We can teach that.
What I'm saying is that even there, they have them. We must have them here. And we must have them, those kinds of area technical colleges. And when you talk about training for people to leave, my brother, as for training, we will train. As for leaving, people will leave. But they will leave until the time when they realize that there's hope in this country, that they can get a good job that will give them a living wage right here, that the environment is good. And this happened before. Many people were sent off to Harvard, to Yale, to Oxford, and they came back because life was good. And even the ones in the public sector, life was good. They came, they were able, with their salary, to start building a house and to change their cars every 4 years. It happened in Ghana. It did. And I'm proud to say It was under a CPP administration. It happened. It happened. So let's not think that this thing can't happen again. It can happen if you put our minds to it. And so we must bring that equity back into this system by developing it and giving hope. And sometimes when I go out there and when we talk to the people, I tell them about my little story when I was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And all of a sudden I see all these people, white Americans, black Americans, running to the shore, to the beach. And I also follow them. And we get there and they are amazed. They say, you mean black people? Black people can sit in something, and it's not on land, but on sea, from Africa, and come to America. They were amazed. They were amazed. It was Black Star Line. And all of us Ghanaians, we were proud. And if you were Ghanaian at that time, you didn't have to go struggle for a green card. They would tell you, sit and work, because they knew us to be people who were skillful, people who could do some things and do them well. So the Nigerians said they were Ghanaians. The Sierra Leoneans said they were Ghanaians. The Kenyans said they were Ghanaians. Okay? I'm just trying to tell you that when we had hope, when we had a leader who said, we can do it here, it happened. It happened. And what we said we could do, we did it. It will happen again. Because another one is coming. And he is saying, we can do it, and we will.
There is Sam from WellDAF. And can you explain what WellDAF is?
Thank you very much. WellDAF means Women in Law and Development in Africa. One thing Ghana is noted for is the way we ratify international instruments or treaties. And so we have ratified the Women's Convention at the UN level. We've endorsed the MDGs. We've endorsed Beijing. At Africa, we've endorsed the African Protocol on the Rights of Women. At the West Africa level, we have ratified the ECOWAS Protocol on Good Governance and Democracy. And when it comes to Ghana itself, in 1998, given our commitment to gender equality, the government put in place an affirmative action policy guideline, which said in Ghana we will have 40% representation of women at all levels, at the local as well as the national levels. However, looking at our statistics, currently we have 10 regional ministers, 0 women. We have 48 ambassadors or high commissioners, 8 women. And in Parliament, 230, we have 25 women. My question is, what percentage will you promise discerning Ghanaian women will be appointed into decision-making positions at both the national and the local government levels should the CPP come into power in a way that women can hold you accountable to?
Thank you, Dr. Egan.
Yes, I am smiling because it looks like I planted that question. But all I have to do is to once again point you to the period when the CPP was in power, because it put women in parliament. It made the